If we can push just beyond, okay, I want to do 10 reps. We get to 7 and I can go to those next 3 and we can do it there, then we can do it anywhere.
You and I have strategically structured our days so that we can get time that we need to work out.
A lot of times for dads, we just have all this running story in our head that says, I can't do that. I can't do this. And I think some men have lost their fire.
If you want to make it happen, you will figure it out. There are 1,000 reasons why not to do something. If you want to do it, you will find the one reason to.
The gym is a really great place to start this conversation around receiving help. Hey, it's Adam, and you're listening to The Adam Cobb Show. Weekly content devoted to all things fitness, finding your center, and fumbling through fatherhood. Thank you for taking the time to tune in. We hope this is a space that you come to, that you can feel connected. We're better together. Please subscribe and follow all of our social channels so you don't miss a thing. Let's listen to today's episode. Check, 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 check.
Can you hear me, Gene?
Yay, yay. Woo, woo. Yay, nay. That's a thing too.
What?
Yay, nay.
Oh, so you do a yay, nay?
Yeah, my cousin and I, Steven, yeah. Like, yay, nay.
Nice.
Yeah. Patriots losing Super Bowl. Yay, nay. Yeah. Well, here we are. Question for you.
What's up?
Who do you have for tonight?
It's a great
Pats,
question.
Jets. Go. We're not calling this fumbling through fatherhood and using the word fumbling and not talking football.
I feel like this is like the who's the tallest midget question, you know? Like Pats are trash, Jets are trash. But sure, if I have to like, if I had to put
rookie
money,
quarterback, Bears, we're going to Super Bowl. I mean, let's be real. Come on.
you know, I didn't say that
It
things
seemed
are
like
looking
it.
that much better over in Chicago, despite one of the other episodes we did. But for the sake of this conversation, I'm gonna ride with New York here. Say
You're right with
Jets.
New York.
Yeah.
Jets. Got it. Okay. Cool.
I would ask you the same question, but I think
But
by
you don't
default,
have to.
I don't have to. By default, I know the answer, so there's no point in asking.
Go Brady. I mean, go Pats. Die hard. Football fan, Gene? No. If you had to pick a team, just go get, come on, put it on the board. Yeah. Okay, so we're here today where we have called our show Adam Cobb Show and exploring 3 things. Al, what are the 3 things?
Fitness, finding your center, and fumbling through fatherhood.
Yes. And we've been exploring fumbling through fatherhood, and it's truly fumbling. And we've talked about this, how we're fumbling, and we're going to continue talking about this. But we start out the 3 things with fitness. So we want to go back to that original piece. It's not just because it sounds good. It rolls nice off the tongue, as Gene had mentioned to us, but we want to dig into the importance of fitness for each other, within our own families, and how that works. And I'd like to just start by asking you, like, why is fitness important to you as a dad and also as a man, and just in general for Al Smith? Why is fitness important to you, and what role does it play in your life?
I mean, fitness is, so I wouldn't really start with fitness, right? Having played sports my entire life, right? Through elementary school, through college, right? Being in a gym has kind of always been something that's I've always done, right? I think it's funny as you remove yourself from being an athlete, right? Some of those characteristics and traits never leave you. So for me, the fitness piece has just always been an outlet, right? It was more structured at a time. And then as I got further away from school, it just became an outlet for, you know, me to get that release, whether that be a stress release, a a space where I could kind of zone out for an hour, right? A mental break, if you will. Yeah, obviously there's a physical benefits, right? But I think for me, it's been more of a space where I can be, whether by myself or with somebody else, for an hour and kind of block out everything else, right? I think I've told you several times, my favorite thing growing up and even now as an adult is like going to a court and like the solitude of just like shooting a basketball for 45 minutes provides me such capacity on the rest of my day.
How do you balance the guilt that can be associated with taking time for yourself when you have so much going on at home?
Truthfully, and when it comes to the fitness piece, I don't really have a ton of guilt on that front. And that's from structure. So you and I have strategically structured our days so that we can get in the time that we need to work out, right? So even before I got to California, when I lived in New York, right, that would be a situation where I'd get home, eat dinner. Hopefully I got home in time to do bedtime, bath, whatever it may be. And if you ask Lens, I'm hitting the gym in our building in Jersey City at 9 p.m., right? So like, there's no real guilt because everyone's asleep, right? So strategically, I kind of always done it on my own time and tried to find a way that it doesn't interfere with anything else. Like right now, all my kids are at school, right? So if I'm with you at the dojo from 3:30 to 5, everyone is in school.
So I heard you say that you don't have the guilt because of structure. So the structure removes the guilt.
Correct. Because the guilt would come in place if I, for instance, even when we first started doing the tire, right? We strategically said, let's do the tire at like 5 a.m. Why? Because nobody's up. So I can't be asked. No one's leaning on me in that moment because we're up before everybody else is. So by the time I get home at 6:30, everyone's just waking, right? So if you prioritize it and you find the times, what's there to be guilty about?
I have a pop quiz. I have a pop quiz for you right now. Pop quiz is if you can name the tire, the name of the tire. We, Al and I, will invite you to Manhattan Beach, Hermosa Beach, to pull the tire with us. Drop it in the comments. Continue.
Yeah, no, it's just one of these truthful. It's funny, we're talking about this on the way in, but like in this no Oprah moment, it's like the fun, the nice thing for me to say was like, oh, it's so hard for me to get it in and do all this stuff. It's like, no, it's not. I've prioritized it. I've figured out a way to get it done. And I make sure that it happens in a way that doesn't put stress on my family. Now, granted, there will be some times if you ask Lens that tire or that workout maybe runs a little bit over. So that happens, right? But for the most time, try to be conscientious of when we're working out so that that doesn't happen.
Okay. And we have I have respect our gym time, right? I have that written on the dojo. That's one of the most important things. Like respect this gym time, respect this building strength and stamina time. So that's such a priority. What I love about making fitness the priority is that as much as I've coached it for 20 years, with my first child, with Scarlett, I didn't make it a huge priority. I got it in when I could get it in, but I didn't have somebody that I was actually accountable with, like you, and a set time and knowing the set dates. And I, even though I have 1,000 or 1,000,000 workouts in my head, like I still, as you know, write it out on a note card and we go, okay, for 40 days, we're going to do this workout. And I write out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So for some tools, because everybody's looking for tools, right? How do I make this easier? How do I integrate? How do I assimilate? I say old school, not an app, get a note card, get 5 of them and write out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday on note cards and actually have, your workouts written out, from whether it's like 10 exercises and have them, all written out for you. And then just like check them off as you go. Keep it simple, but that's been really huge for us.
And before the comments blow up with, well, that's great for you, Al. You get to go work out at 3:00 in the afternoon. I don't have that luxury, right? I get that. Everyone relax. Like, part of that is the fact of my work, right? So I am fortunate, I understand that, to have some autonomy with how I can structure my day. I typically work East Coast hours, right? So that's being up anywhere from, 5 to 5:30 and then, ending in that kind of 2:00 time space, right? So that's very specific to me. But if you heard me say when I didn't live on the West Coast and I was on the East Coast, I got it in late at night. So there's a way, right? It's not just a function of like having the afternoon and able to get it in. It's just you have to, if you want it to be a thing, you will make it a thing.
But it is true. It is true. There's definitely someone, if not many people listening, that are like, I don't have that kind of time. I don't have 90 minutes. And I definitely don't have someone that's accountable that I can dig in with that has my back in that way. We've talked a little bit about that. What would you recommend then for somebody that's saying those things? Hey, I don't have that kind of time that you have. And I don't have one other guy that I can show up accountable with. What would you say to that person?
Well, let's start with the time, right? We were having this conversation on the beach and we were talking about like show topics and things of that nature. And one thing that came out was this idea of using our families and our children as a crutch, right? And what I mean by that is I think as parents, hot take coming in, it's very easy to say, well, I can't get that thing done, because I'm really like, I'm in my family stage. Okay. You can be in your family stage and you can still go get that thing done.
And I think you said something to me about, I hate when someone lets their dream die because of the excuse of family, something to that effect.
Essentially, that's the gist. That's essentially the gist.
Yeah.
Because it's an easy out, right?
Yeah.
No one's gonna question you, right? You have twins at home. I've got 3 kids. You got 1 kid. You got whatever the number. It's irrelevant. But it's an easy out, and no one's gonna question you for it. So it's very safe. It's a safe play.
That's a great point. There was a class that I was going to that I actually told, me being a dad is a big deal. I love sharing it. I love it. And I told no one in the class because I didn't want to fall back on the excuse of like, oh, I'm late because, or, oh, I can't show up this week because. So I didn't even share it, right? I didn't want to even have that on the table as part of the excuse. So that could be something when somebody's hearing this, it's like, oh yeah, I use that a lot. Like check in with yourself, right? Are you using it a lot? And is it a thing? It could be. I'm curious though, when you say, going back like 2 questions ago, that you get rid of the guilt of your workouts, because a lot of dads do not work out because they're thinking, I'm working 9 to 5 and I got to come home, right? We don't have time for that, right? And I'd say to that person, like, little moments can matter. So you can park your car further away and walk a little bit more, right? You can do these little moments, right? You can wake up and do 100. I like to call it the 100 Club. And we haven't talked about that, but that's something that I've given to a lot of people, that like you wake up in the morning, you do 100 of something. That could be like 20 squats, 20 push-ups, right? Like you do it right now. I'm not going to, but we could. But like 100 quick of something and make it part of the day. Yeah.
There's one other thing about the guilt. I think the guilt stems for a lot of people because if you're parents, unless you're a single parent, you're parenting with someone. So the guilt a lot of times stems from not just the fact that what I've identified, which is, hey, I put it into my day so that it's not burdening my wife, right? Or my children who don't get to see me, what have you. it's also the component of you are concerned about your partner being like, well, it's so great that you get to go to the gym. And meanwhile, I'm over here doing X, Y, and Z. Glad you're at that Orange Theory class. Right?
Yeah.
So the other reason I don't have that guilt is because truthfully, and you can ask Lindsay, I create the space and say, hey, if you need to go to the gym, you need to go to that class, do you? I will do whatever I need to do. If I'm doing this thing and that's an interest of yours,
let's ask her right now.
Call her right now. Call her right now.
That would be a funny ad, wouldn't it?
We can do a live phone in right now, right?
Let's phone a friend. That is the most important thing, especially, so you're sharing that, and I was curious, I was going to ask you that, so you answered it. The structure removes the guilt, but also the direct communication with your wife eliminates the guilt too, because a lot of times for dads, we just have all this running story in our head that is this, like the meaning making machines that our minds are, that says, well, I can't do that. I can't do this. She's thinking that. Oh, that would be terrible. What would so-and-so think if I was doing this? So both of us, because I just did that. I did it twice so far. Since the twins have been born, which has now been 6 weeks, I've done it twice. I've checked in with Daisy and I said, hey, honey, how are you doing with, me working out, me taking an hour upwards to even 90 minutes a day? How are you doing with that? I know you're inside. I knew with the boys. Doesn't need to be less time. Just checking in with you on that. And both times checked back in with me and was like, no, I know that's important to you. I know you need that. I'm fine with that, right? I needed that. I just want to double check sometimes. It's always nice to go back and say, hey, I want to just make sure we're good here, right? That kind of stuff. So I love that you do that with Lindsay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. What would happen if you didn't make time to work out and to focus on your fitness? What would happen? Like, I'm sure there's been a period of time where you took a little mini vacation from the fitness game, not a vacation internationally or somewhere, but a vacation. I might personally know that that's true, right? But how does that, what does Lindsay say when you take some time off in that way, or I'm away, or whatever it may be, right? Or in the past? I'm just curious.
So to answer the question, which is what would happen if I were to take this theoretical vacation? Usually if that happens, I'm usually sick. I'm either physically away or I'm sick, right? That's usually the kind of the setup here.
Yep.
For when this happens. And typically what ends up happening is that I fall into really shitty eating habits.
How bad?
Oh, I am the, I don't know what the word for this is, but the person who, I love comfort food.
Okay.
Right? So if I'm not feeling great, I love to just feel better.
Tell me your comfort foods.
Oh, let's get into it.
Give me 3.
I'll just give you a genre for one. Can name barbecue. Fantastic. Right?
Okay, a lot of protein.
Yeah. Unless you're just eating carbs like mac and cheese.
Okay. What else?
Love me a good lobster bisque. If you take me anywhere with a lobster bisque on the menu, it could be 99 degrees outside. I'm sitting outside eating it. Okay?
I love it. What else?
Ice cream.
What kind?
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Gene, what do you got? What's your comfort food? Ice cream. What kind? Rocky Road ice cream for Gene. Okay, cool. Me, 100% hands down, nothing else. It's coffee ice cream. Sign me up. After I did my TEDx talk, I had a friend that was like, now what? And I'm like, ice cream? And I went to this spot in Santa Barbara and I had 5 scoops of coffee ice cream. It was perfect. And that's also a reason why I don't have ice cream in the house. We walk basically a mile to Salt and Straw and I have my coffee love nuts, which is one of the greatest things ever. And if you're here in California, they have a lot of
stores.
They have a lot of those stores outside of West Coast.
It's a great question. Could be like an In-N-Out thing. I don't know.
Could be an In-N-Out. It is amazing. But we walk a mile and we get, as a family, and we get that cone, and then we walk back a mile, right? And I just, that's an easy like removal. You remove the ice cream out so that's not in the house.
Yeah. See, that's not my game.
Yeah.
I got flavors. It could be sorbet, could be Ben and Jerry's really ruined the game.
Yeah.
First of all, anybody who can, this is like a side note here, complete tangent, but anybody who can have a pint of Ben and Jerry's and eat it over multiple scoops, you're a sociopath. Okay. It is meant to be done in one sitting. You're not supposed to spread these pints out over like a week and a half. Okay. Anyway.
This is true. I remember where you took, you had to be removed from some workouts for whatever it was. And I remember your wife, Lindsay, was like, hey, you need to get to the dojo. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
why?
Because going back, have we aired the Moody Bitch episode yet? I don't think we have yet.
No.
But that's why, right? Like if I'm not working out and getting that time to just zone out, be in my body, do all that stuff, then it's like an aggregate effect.
Yeah.
Right. So you pile on the comfort eating, the sluggishness, you're not getting outside, you're not kind of testing yourself, then that mood gets affected too. Right. I used to always say, I love when we first got here and we were doing the tire at like 5 a.m. on a Saturday because it just set the tone for the rest of my day. Right. So it's definitely something that has to happen in order. It regulates my mood. I think that's the easiest way of phrasing it.
Mm-hmm.
Is it's definitely a mood regulator.
That's great. It's when same thing here, when I am dysregulated and it's hard, especially with the twins and with Scar, that's in a different phase right now because of the twins. I need it. I need it for my mental health. It's a mental health thing. Like, sure, would watching a program during that time feel good, or would eating something? Sure. But I know I get more energy. I get more clarity. I feel more grounded. All those things are a must. And I kind of have this term that's the importance also for men around fitness and what it does. And I think what it does for sure for us is like it revs that fire. It stokes the fire. And I think some men have lost their fire. And I think that's an easy way. And I hear that from a lot of men that I get to coach around, like, I just feel like blah, or I don't feel that fire anymore, and feeling that fire again. And I've had some men, I'm not obviously going to share who or what, but when, but like, I remember one specific guy saying that he was afraid to turn his fire up, right? Because when his fire was up, he was like in his 20s. When his fire was in his 20s, he was just hooking up with a bunch of different people, and he was married now. So he was afraid to turn the fire up, right? Because that would maybe bring him back into that old ways. So that's something that a lot of people deal with. A lot of men deal with that. Turning their fire up means that they're going to go back to when their fire was high and they had a lot of energy and what that led them to. So I just want to speak to that person that could be thinking that, maybe subconsciously even, right? Trying to get ahead of that and just say, like a client of mine at the time, that when you turn that fire up and you have that structure that you mentioned in place, and like you're a new person, like you get to step into this new season, stoking the fire is going to make you, right, a better dad, a better community member, a better husband, a better friend. And it's essential for life, right? It is an essential component.
What's your thoughts on that? I know you've kind of given us a little bit, but like, what's your thoughts on the stoking my fire will send me into a downward spiral. And we're here not to judge any of that kind of stuff, right? But if we're gonna do it, I'm curious because that also feels kind of like my crutch comment, right? Like,
I think it's it
sounds like an excuse.
I think you just answered it. Yes, I think it's an excuse, and I think I often hear that from the same person that knows a lot about nutrition and knows a lot about fitness, but they're not taking daily action.
Like it's kind of a wild thing to say, right? It's like, oh, I can't get to the gym because when I go outside.
And when I'm looking really great, you know what happens?
Yeah, like I'm just trying to save my house. Okay, got you.
It's essential. And one of the things that before even hitting record on this show, we spent about 9 months in the dojo in a building phase, right? Building strength, building stamina, but also building trust. And I think what it also did is built an accountability with each other.
Mm-hmm.
So on the days we don't want to be there, that we show up anyway. And I think that's when you can find somebody, and yes, it's not going to happen for everybody, but you can find one person that you can be accountable to. That could even be FaceTime, especially in our digital world. You could work out with somebody over FaceTime, a home gym, a regular gym with earpods in, whatever it is, right? Because I'm already hearing people like, oh, that's nice, but.
Or assuming that you go to an actual gym, if you really want to get creative, you can make your accountability person the person at the front desk. You're going to see the same person. What's up, Jim?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If you just needed a face to know that you were going to see somebody there, right? To just like lock in somehow. Like my point is, if you want to make it happen, you will figure it out. There are 1,000 reasons why not to do something. If you want to do it, you will find the one reason to.
Yeah. Very good. Very good. Let's see what else on this topic. I think that what comes up that's really important to me is I've heard from some of you around like, what do you like? You guys see us maybe in the dojo for like an Instagram story or something, and you're like, oh, what do you guys do for a workout? And we just talked about like, oh, maybe we'll film a workout or something and share it with people. So is there any interest in that? I guess I'm curious. Yes or no from you on that would be helpful. What do you think about recording one of our workouts?
I'm down to do it. As I shared with you on the beach yesterday, I think I would be interested to see the response to the video.
Because where do our workouts start usually? Like where did Monday's workout start? Do you remember?
On the floor.
That's right. Right. It started on the floor. So you walked in, right? Because you had been gone for a week and it was important to drop fully in. So rather than you coming in and us benching, max bench or something, right? Personal PR for our bench. What was that workout? What was the beginning of that workout like? And this kind of sets a tone for somebody when they're thinking about, okay, I want to get a little mental reset. Right? What do we do?
Felt like I walked into watching Kyrie walk around the Boston Celtics arena with a sage.
Okay, say more.
So anyway, I get to the dojo, same time, same place, and there's sage burning, and you're on the floor, and you just don't even say a word. You're just like, no snap, but.
Did I not make eye contact?
No, there's no eye contact.
Yes! I love that I didn't make eye contact. So I was looking up on a yoga mat, sage was burning, and I said. Yeah,
you tapped. The snap is more fun for this.
Yeah.
But you tapped at the mat next to you.
I tapped the mat. You got on the mat, and then what happened?
We did breathing exercises.
And I related the ground to what?
Support.
Yes. And I think that's a great, for the person watching, listening to like, where do I start? Because that's always a question, right? Where do I start? It's like, get on the ground, right? Put your back on the ground and like feel that support. Feel that support that the ground has got you.
Well, the breathing exercises I find to be incredibly helpful, right? And so you're going to get some pushback, right? Like, I don't want to do, because like breathing exercises fall into like the guided meditation and all that kind of stuff, right? So if you're going to get your like all-American male for the purposes of this episode, right? He's like, I don't need to do all that. Let me just do a couple like leg swings and then I'll like hit a bench real quick. The reason I love the breathing exercises is because it's going back to system regulation, right? It regulates my system. So now if I've spent the first, I don't know, 5 minutes controlling my breath, now when we get into the harder stuff, I've already got that calmed down, right? So now I'm spending less time trying to catch my breath and focus on the movements that are ahead, right? I would say probably I haven't spent this much time in preparation for a workout, right? Like going back to those Jersey City days, right? You stretch, AKA, you know, you like touch your toes 3 times and you like hop into a curl, right? But I would say that there's definitely been a way more of a focus and way more of a benefit that I've seen as a result of actually doing proper workouts. Once again, I get it. It's a time thing. Not everybody has, like Monday, for example, we spent 40 minutes warming up, right? Before we got into the actual thing.
Warm up that day would be most people's workout.
Also true.
Fair.
Right. So that's why I said I'd be interested to see the response, because I think the initial thought would be like, oh, cool. They go in, they hit like a shoulder press, a couple curls, some squats on a squat rack, high five and keep it moving, right? It's not exactly what it is.
Sure.
But the breathing is definitely important. And also the whole point of the dojo, yes, there's a physical aesthetic piece. Don't get me wrong. We talk about that all the time. I'm not going to bullshit you, right? But the reason that it's actually important is because now if you're in your house or you're out in the work world or wherever you are and you need to like regulate your system, the dojo is just providing you tools. The dojo is just giving you training to go out into the world and be able to be a better member.
That's right.
Right. So like now if you're like we did this a couple episodes ago where you're like, hey, 4-2-6, right? Did that. Now, if you actually were to not think about the silliness of it and go outside and now you're getting tested because your boss is just really pressing you or your spouse is just like on one that day or your kid or the guy behind you at Starbucks, doesn't really matter, right? Now you have something where you can tap into something you've been working on to be like, you know what? Not going to go off into you right now.
Yeah.
Right. So.
And we talk about it. We talk about the importance of fitness on a daily basis. Weekends can be tricky.
For sure.
3 kids for sure. And
that's why nap time is clutch.
That's why nap time is clutch. And
nap time is gone.
Nap time is gone. That is also true. But during the week, that structure, as a mini recap here, the structure helps remove the guilt. The direct communication helps remove the guilt. Finding a friend helps accountability. And writing it out on cards, on note cards, can be really effective. It's tangible. It's something you can see. It's something you can check off. And when we get into the dojo, we purposefully start at least a couple times a week. And I'll text you sometimes, right? And what do I text you?
The most obscene stuff. Obscene in the sense of like, imagine you're sitting at your desk in your office and you're doing whatever it is that you do, right? And then so you get a text message that pops up that says, today's gonna test us in ways that we never thought imaginable. And then there's like a clip of like 300. Like, bro, what are you talking about right now?
Yeah. I recently text Al. I texted you and I said, tomorrow is going to be like the Battle of Carthage. And I sent you the gladiator clip.
Yeah. And I'm just like, I can't deal with this right now. I gotta share my phone.
And it was hard.
Yeah.
And the idea, I truly have this foundational principle that if we can do, as we can get in and we can work so hard in that dojo and we can push just beyond, right? Okay, I want to do 10 reps. We get to 7 and I can go to those next 3 and we can do it there, then we can do it anywhere, or we can use that. But I want to touch on one thing. Let's close on this. We talked about it's hard to ask, especially as men, it's hard to ask for help. And it's really hard to receive help. And I remember in the early days last year of us working out and knowing that you could get, let's say, about 10 pull-ups and you pretty much stopped at like 5. And I had you, right, for a spot and you stopped. And I said to you, like, why don't you trust me?
These are the type of things that are happening in the gym. It's a full scale emotional thing.
So why don't you trust me? And what I meant by that was, why don't you trust me to spot you? And can we step this brotherhood up as workout partners here? Can we step our relationship up here and have a deeper accountability and trust? And can you trust me that I can get you to 10?
Mm-hmm.
And you receive that spot that day. And then the following exercise, I went beyond what I knew I could do to the point where I could barely hold on and I needed you. And I was like, I can't even hold the bar now. And you basically lifted me for one more, just so that there could be a reciprocal type of action back and forth. And I'm mentioning this because I think it's really hard to receive help as a dad and as a man. And I think the gym is a really great place to start this conversation around receiving help and receiving support, because it's easy to go, hey, I need a spot, bro. I'm trying to get 10 here. Can you help me get 3 more? Oh, sure. But now that's easy for me. Yes, Al, I need you to help me to do 3 more pull-ups, bench press, whatever it is. Oh, I have twins. Oh, I'm down to your help. How? I don't know. Right? That was a lot harder. Like, oh, I want to bring food over your house. I don't know. I don't know about that. Right? But it's safe to ask for help in a gym. So I think for the men listening and watching, and even for us right now, there's and Gene, for you too, right? Like, let's go. There's an opportunity here to go, I don't know how to ask for help. We're just not good at that. We're not good at it. I'm not good at asking for help. I'm not good at receiving the help. Where do I even start? Okay, well, start in the gym. Start in the gym with your friend and start there and look at that as an act of receiving and tell yourself you're actually better at it than you think you are. Right? You're better at receiving than you think you are. You're better at that. Now, you said something in a previous conversation. I want to make sure you got that in there.
Yeah, it was basically the idea that as men, we are better at beating the spotter than the spotted, right? Yeah. But I think it's interesting that you think about it in the gym context, right? Because inevitably what you're saying to this random person, if you're not going with like a friend you're working out with, is like, I'm weak, right? It's an admission. Asking for a spot is effectively an admission that you don't think you're as strong as you think you are, and that I need someone to help me. I need help, right? So it's funny that once you step outside, it's the same parallels, right?
That's right.
That we lose, I lose, you lose, maybe Gene loses, right? We lose that ability to acknowledge or raise our hand in the same way that feels very natural when you're in a gym, right? Because we've been conditioned that that's okay in that space. But to say you need help outside of where, whoa. Hold on there, you're a man, right?
I love this. I think adding fitness just felt natural because we built, I think, a trust for 9 months. I don't know about you, but as college basketball players that we are, there's basketballs bouncing above us and the audio might pick it up, it might not, but it's cool. And I don't know if you can hear this, but it's kind of soothing to my soul.
For sure.
It might not be soothing to the listener's soul.
Not at all.
Right? But that is kind of cool. right now. That's happening right now. Fitness felt like a natural add because we really built a brotherhood over fitness, over coming together, protecting our gym time. And adding that into the show felt natural, also because I've coached on it for 20 years. But just now, in this moment, in talking to you right now, I'm realizing the expansive need for that metaphor of fitness being the first entryway for men and dads to receive some support, and like using that as almost practice, right? Knowing that you're going to need it or else you will fail and you will fall and you'll fumble and you won't pick that ball back up very well. You might not ever pick the ball back up again. So fitness is a really good way to start understanding you're going to fumble, you're going to fail on a set, and you're going to pick the ball back up. And you're going to push beyond your limits so that it can then extend outside of that gym or whatever class you're doing.
And to that point, right, of the gym being the first place where you get to exercise that muscle, build that muscle memory, right? It also is the first place where you're going to be able to start to identify who's actually capable of helping you, right? Like, I think part of it is the uncomfortability, the lack of comfort.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. You get what I'm trying to say. With the ask, but it's also who can I ask, right? So you actually are probably better at identifying who's capable of helping you than you think you are, right? And sometimes it's just leaning into that and then just saying, hey, will you help me?
So good. All right. We're going to close with I can't wait for our next workout. I can't wait to turn up our fire. I can't wait to be fired up. I can't wait to feel that endorphin high. And I believe it's a must. It's not a maybe. It's a must. And it has to be programmed into your day and into your week and into your month first, not last. And hopefully we put that oxygen mask on and we do that through fitness. Truly, we build strength and stamina. We're going to get a lot more into fitness in the future, playing with this metaphor here, because this is cool. This is like a discovery moment, right? And I love being on this fitness journey with you.
It's been great.